can now continue with the next part of our design. So for the next part, we again have a couple of dots that we have to do with our border cup tools. So we've got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots, which forms part of this flower. We've got these dots here in the center, which is part of the flower, and then we've got this string of pearls as well. So I'm first going to do all of my little dots, and I'm going to do them with my border cup tools, working from the back of my pewter, and I'm going to do the flower ones first and then the string of pearls. So from the back of my pewter, with my small ball and cup tool, I'm going to do 5 small dots for the flower, another 5 for the other flower. Then I'm going to turn them back to the front and then complete my cup part from the front on my hard surface. And then I can define. And then we could do string of pearls and the central 3 ones on that flower. So from the back of my pewter, I'm going to do the 2 bigger ones in the center of the flower first. Put it to the front on my hard surface and complete the cup part. Turn it back to the semi-soft surface, working on the back of my pewter, add the small one, back to the front, complete the cup part, and then define. And then we can do the string of pearls. So first I'm going to do the bigger pearls. So on the back of my pewter, on my semi-soft surface, I'm going to add the bigger pearls first. And then turn my pewter back to the front, complete the cup part. Then I'm going to move down one size. And then turn my pewter to the front. Complete the cup part. And then we can move one more size down. And then one last tiny little one on the point. And then we can complete the cup part again from the front. We can then define around all of our little dots the metal ball tool. can then flatten the area in between, and I'm just going to flatten using my hands. There we go. So that's our string of pearls almost done. We just have to do the little lines in between, but I'm going to leave that for a little bit later. So now we can do the little stems from the back again. So I'm going to first do the main stem on each one of these flowers, and then we can do the side ones separately. So we're going to do them from the back in the same manner as we did the stem. So from the back of the pewter on our semi-soft surface, I'm going to draw in the stem, and I'm going to stop it right in front of the little dot. And I can do both at the same time. Turn my pewter to the front, place it on my hard surface, and do the flattening process. Be very careful not to flatten your dots. And define. Then turn your pewter upside down and level out your lines from the back on your hard surface. And repeat your flattening process from the front. After defining, we can define with our metal ball tool. We can then add the little lines from the back on either side. Turn our pewter to the back, place it on our semi-soft surface, and I'm first going to do the internal ones. Again, I'm going to start within my previous line and stop it in front of my little dot. And I'm going to do both on either side. So we start inside our stem line and we stop it in front of our dot. And then we can flatten. So we turn our pewter to the front and we flatten around. So I'm not going to try and get into the tiny space in between. For that I'm going to use my Teflon tip. So using the tip of my Teflon tool, I flatten in between. And if you do accidentally flatten a line, it's not a big train smash. We can now level out our lines again by turning it back to the back of our pewter on our hard surface, and we redefine our lines. So if we did flatten any part, we can now lift it up again. Then we repeat our flattening process from the front one last time. Define, and we're done. And then we can define with our metal ball tool. There we go. So now we can continue with the leaves on either side so that we draw in as we did with the big flower here. So from the front of our pewter, we can just draw in the little leaves. Okay, so we're almost done with this side. We've got 4 leaves left to do around the central flower here. So we're going to do them from the front. So from the front of our pewter, we're going to draw in the outlines of the leaves. But before we do the outlines, I'm going to draw in the little central vein from the front first. So with a medium pressure, I draw in that little vein line as a detail line, and then I can do the outline. So I'm going to do 2 leaves at a time. Then I'm going to flatten, come back and do the next 2 leaves. So I remove my lino, my semi-soft surface, and I flatten from the front. And I can take my Teflon tool and I can define. Now we're going to continue to add the next 2 leaves. So we're going to go back onto our semi-soft surface, still working from the front of our pewter. I'm just going to redefine that central line, and then we do the outline. And then we can flatten again from the front on our hard surface. And then we can define with our Teflon tip. There we go. And then I'm just going to flatten a little bit around my area, just to make sure that I've got a nice flat area to continue with. So you can now add a little bit of height from the back if you need to. I'm more than happy with the height that I achieved working from the front. So I'm going to go straight on and define my shape with my metal ball tool. There we go. So now we can continue with our next part of our design.